Basic Architect here. You know, I was putting together a bunch of information to shoot a bunch of videos today as part of this new series that I'm going to talk about. But one of the things I never realized was for my YouTube channel, I never really did a bio video. And so I put together, I don't know, 18 photos here that try to explain some of the things that I love doing when I'm not shooting videos here or playing architect. And just to give you a little bit of background, so maybe you get a slightly better understanding of me. So I thought we'd have a little fun on this video. I'm calling it my bio video, but I'm not going to get into all the crazy numbers. I'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on, but we'll have some fun with it. I got some fun photos here, and you'll just get a little better understanding. Now, after this, starting tomorrow, we're going to embark on, I don't know, it's like 18 to 20 video series where I am taking a past project. It's a passive house that I designed in 2009. We built it in 2010 and got it certified. It was one of the very first certified passive houses in the country. Like, we're talking, I don't know, it was probably number 5 or something like that in the country at the time. And I learned an immense amount of information in doing that project. But, you know, one of the things about that project that got me thinking was when I met the client the first day and they said, you know, I'm thinking I want to do a certified passive house. Are you familiar with that? And I, of course, said, oh, yeah. And I had no clue what a passive house was. I didn't, nothing. Didn't even register when he mentioned it. Excuse myself. I went to the powder room and I'm in there on my phone and I was, you know, looking up, or on my laptop, looking up passive house, and you know, come back out and talking to him and saying, oh yeah, passive house, it's a set of parameters and this and that, and getting back to him and said, yeah, it's no problem. Then I went home and like really dove into it to try and understand what the passive house. But I guess the first lesson I learned there was a lot of my life before that was I instilled a bunch of confidence in myself, and you'll see how, and kind of, you know, living on the other side of fear rather than saying, no, I've never done a passive house, you know, I have no idea. I just said, yeah, well, we could do that and solve for that and do it, and on we went, and I figured it out, and lo and behold, we designed and built and certified one of the first passive houses in the country, and then that kind of, everything from there kind of built a project upon project to where I am now, and we're just loving what we do. So, you know, those of you not familiar with me, I'm Steve Basic Architect. I use that tagline just for uniformity across pretty much every platform. Any video, you'll hear me tout that, just so you know that you're linking it to the same person. It's a method of branding, yes, but it's more of one of my favorite words, continuity, right? Making sure that the idea is a continuous one. And, you know, on YouTube, there's a whole bunch of people out here shooting videos. A lot of people are doing great jobs. I know a bunch of them on there. We'll reference a couple here. You know, my baseline for shooting all of these videos is I worked for Dr. Joe and Betsy at Building Science Corporation. I was their first employee, worked there for right around 10 years. And, you know, Joe had always instilled that we're curators of information, that we're supposed to take information from the people in front of us. We work it, develop it, innovate it, change it, alter it, whatever we do, but then we pass that information on. And so a lot of the values that I place in education and information transfer stems from Joe being one of my mentors in life and basically saying it's our responsibility to pass information on. and to share that information. So that's kind of what has gotten me here. But in terms of YouTube, I look at YouTube and I think there's two types of people on YouTube. There's people on YouTube that want to be well known, right? They want followers, they want fanfare, they want all of that. The second category, which I esteem to, is I want to be worth knowing. When you watch one of my videos, I want you to walk away and go, I never thought about that before. Wow, never even heard of that before. Wow, never knew that before. And I want you to walk away with some takeaways. So I am always striving for being worth knowing because I think the value in that certainly much higher. So, Steve Basic Architect. I was born in a small town, western Massachusetts, up in the mountains. The town's called Adams. I mean, at the time I lived there, growing up, we were probably 9,000 plus or minus people. I think we had 150 in our graduating class. I was kind of a middle of the road type person, probably ranked, I don't know, 50th in our class. To be honest, I hated school. I went there for the party, the fun, to hang out and just goof off. I was a big time goof and just wanted to have fun and experience life. And I really didn't care what Hamlet had to say or Othello or any of those. And I'm not disregarding them or discarding them. It just wasn't my cup of tea. After high school, I went into the Marine Corps. Yeah, so I signed up for the Marine Corps when I was actually 17. I actually had to have my parents sign a waiver because I wasn't even, when I signed up for the Marine Corps, I wasn't at the legal age of 18 where I was allowed to make my own decisions. Yeah, so that's a picture there. We're talking, this is probably late October 1984 when I took that picture. And I had just turned 18. I turned 18 in boot camp. So, yeah, that's me many, many moons ago. And I will tell you, graduating boot camp, graduation day, probably one of the greatest moments of my life. I just felt like I had done something and figured out a small part of my life. I always tell people I use the Marine Corps as a controlled runaway. I was actually looking to go to college and be an engineer or something, had applications into college, and then I just came up with the idea, you know what? I'm just going to go in the military for 4 years. I'm young. If I want to go to college afterwards, I can, but I want to go. I always have this drive to take on life's experiences. I love having different experiences. I'm not a avid mountain biker, cross country skier, or one of these people that go out, obviously. I know some of you are laughing, but I do strive for opportunities to go do something. I'll go karaokeing with friends, even though I might have never sang before. I don't have a problem embarrassing myself because it's the experience with friends that I really live for. So, the Marine Corps, yeah, signing up for the Marine Corps, you could say that was somewhat of an ultimate experience. I will tell you, when the first day, when I got there, like, I didn't know what to expect. I got off the plane. We're in Savannah, Georgia. I traveled with 3 other guys that had joined the Marine Corps from Western Massachusetts. We flew down together. And of course, 17, 18-year-old boys were playing grab ass, goofing off. And I didn't know what to expect. We get off the plane. We're met by a Marine. And he just starts yelling at us. Like, we're in the airport and he's yelling at us. I'm like, whoa. Like, I expected, I didn't expect a welcome wagon, but maybe a handshake and say, hey, welcome down to Georgia. Glad you guys, are coming down here. No, he started yelling at us. He put us up against the wall, facing the wall, like 2 inches away, telling us to shut up. He'll be back in a few minutes. He went and collected some other guys, took us down into the basement of the airport, and we got on a bus down there. Now, we didn't have to go to baggage claim because everything that we took to boot camp, we either carried in my hand or it was on my body. So there was no luggage. The beauty of the Marine Corps is they provide everything for you. So went into the Marine Corps. You can see, yeah, that's my first year and a half or so. I worked for combat units. I actually drove trucks. For those of you in the military, um, I was 35, 31, um, and that's motor T, yeah, or motor transport. We just called it motor T in the Marine Corps. And yeah, but we got to play all of the Marine Corps games that you can imagine. I dug foxholes. We went on marches. We carried all of our backpacks, sleeping bag, gas mask, canteens, ammo packs, bayonet, our little mattress there, shelter halves. At the time, we had Alice packs, if you remember those back then. This was an 813. Yeah, that was a 5-speed. So it was before we got into the 900 series. We were still driving a dual range 5-speed 800 series. But yeah, that's me. This is probably 84. This is probably something like April 85. Something like that, maybe. Somewhere in 85. And then I put this one up. It's just one of my favorite pictures. I forget where I was or what we were doing, but we were going out and we were going to do some range fire. That's a 50 cal. For those of you that recognize the landscape here, this is Camp Pendleton. This is California, Southern Cal. Right, it's between San Diego and LA. And yeah, we have our 50 cal. It's up on a ring mount. You can see here. And then I just climbed up on there. You can stand inside the ring mount and fire that thing. But yeah, we used to always pose. You know, Rambo was the big movies out or coming out at the time. And so any shot you got with a M60 or 50 cal, yeah, we got our Rambo shots. I know, it's tacky, but it's the spirit of the times, right? Then something happened in the Marine Corps. I got orders to Hawaii. Yeah. Aloha. So I got shipped off to Hawaii. But not only did I get shipped off to Hawaii, I got shipped off to a base called Camp Smith. Camp Smith is the command center. It's a joint command center. Not only does it command the Marine Corps, but it's headed by a billet called SINGPAC, Commander-in-Chief Pacific. And SINGPAC is in charge of the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, National Guard, everybody in the western half of the world. He answers to that one person. He answers to the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States. And so when I got shipped out to Hawaii, I got a job, started working in protocol office. I drove for the SINGPAC's office. And so I got to drive all the visitors. Became really good friends with the guy in charge of the protocol office. Hence, I used to drive all of the primary people that came out. So at the time, I got to meet the Attorney General of the United States. I got to meet the Secretary of Defense. I got to meet all kinds of 4-stars, 3-star generals, admirals, and such. And the coolest guy that I got to meet, and I don't have a picture of it, but his name was Mike Mansfield. If you remember, he was, I believe, a senator for Montana. And then he became, at the time that I had met him, he was the ambassador to Japan. And the cool thing about him was driving around, he would tell me stories, and he told me how he lied about his age to go fight in like World War I. He was 15, but he said he was 18. So he could go and fight. It was just the mentality, you know, of those generations. But anyways, he was having some issues, health issues. So the president at the time sent his Air Force One out to pick him up in Japan, bring him to Hawaii to go to Tripler Medical Hospital for a couple weeks worth of testing and such. And I was the designated driver for him when he came out. So when we were done, we had a bunch of conversations. Really cool guy. It was like driving around in a car with your grandfather, except your grandfather was like super cool and super well known, and had all kinds of stories and experiences. So our lives kind of aligned, even though he was at the time, I don't know, probably 50 years older than I was. But it was very intriguing in talking to him. But the trip finished with, we pulled up to Hickam Air Force Base. He was about to get on the plane. He turned around and he said, "Have you ever been on Air Force One?" Like, what kind of question is that? Like, yeah, I fly it all the time, you know. Me and Reagan, you know, we travel the world. And no, hell no, I've never been on Air Force One. I didn't say that. I just said, no, sir. But he said, come on, I'll give you a tour. And so I got to go up, and it wasn't the 747. It was the older, I forget the model number, but it's in his museum, Reagan's museum. And but it was just really cool because not only am I getting a tour of the plane, but I'm getting a tour of the plane that everybody highly respects. So everybody's like stepping out of the way, and they're all wondering, who is this corporal guy walking around with Ambassador Mansfield, and why is he on Air Force One? And I was just getting a tour. So anyways, that was a really cool story. You know, this guy here, this is General Morgan. He was a great guy. He used to come out to Hawaii all the time, and I would drive him when he would visit. At the time, he was the assistant commandant of the Marine Corps. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 stars. Second highest guy in the Marine Corps. His sister lived on the island, so he was always coming out there and wanting to go have his meetings, but then he would go and visit his sisters and stuff. But there I am. This is probably somewhere in let's just say like June '87 when this photo is taken. Yeah, long, lean Marine there. What can I say? You know, those days have certainly passed me. So went on. One of the things about me, I have 2 dogs. This is Goose, and this is Duck. I had a previous Great Dane to these 2 named Athena, and then she passed. I got Duck, and then Goose. Right now, Duck is 7. Duck is 7 and Goose is 5. But you can see they're the most energetic dogs alive. This is like 90% of their life. They are so lazy. I will open the door to call them to take them out, and they'll look up at me like, I really don't know if I want to get up right now, you know. But yeah. Anyways, Duck, at least she focuses on me, is worried about me. Goose, he could care less. He always has that look like he got dropped from about 1,000 feet. But anyways, Great Danes, I love them. If you're looking for a dog breed, my kids grew up around Great Danes. They are so gentle. My grandson comes, my grandson will climb up here and lay all over him, hang off his neck. Goose doesn't care. Goose just says, hey, someone wants to play with me. You can climb all over me. Let's have fun. And they are just great dogs. Love them to death. But when I'm not drawn, or even when I'm drawn, Goose will come up and he'll throw his nose under my elbow and nudge it, and he'll want to get some attention. So anyways, architecture. I went to Wentworth Institute of Architecture. It's in downtown Boston. I love architecture. I love sketching. This is a passive house that we did down in Rhode Island a few years ago. Very excited, but yeah, I love architecture. I have a Bachelor's of Architecture from Wentworth. It's the 5-year program. Remember when I said I hated school? Well, I found my love of school when I was in college, and I did exceptionally well. Graduated at the top of my class, and just absolutely love it. And I think my passion bleeds through every time I jump on video. So you know where that's coming from. I love to go see other architecture. I love traveling around. One of the beauties of me traveling around the country is occasionally I get to stop. You know, I've been to Falling Water, absolutely gorgeous. If you've never been there, like taking the time to walk around and experience these spaces. I've been out to Telly's and West, got the private tour behind the scenes, all of that stuff. Been up to Arco Santi and checked it out. But man, just what a beautiful building. Totally appreciate what he did. But the one thing that I really appreciate about Frank Lloyd Wright, and maybe some of you could help me out with this, I remember reading a quote that went something like, if you want to understand how to do these things, you have to go out where the work is being done, or something like that. Basically, Frank Lloyd Wright said, if you want to be a good architect, you got to get your ass out there and go where the work is being done and see how it's being done and get an understanding. And so that's been kind of an underlying motivation for me. I always go out to job sites. I talk to the concrete guy, the plumber, the HVAC guy, the finish guy, talk to them about what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and try and get that wholesome understanding. I also love going out to see old stuff. My wife and I, we do a bit of traveling. This is actually the Coliseum in Verona, Italy. It is a little smaller than the Roman Coliseum, but I think it's something like 200 years older than the Roman Coliseum. So Verona is north of Rome, northeast. It's up by, not too far from Venice, but we spent the day here walking around, and it's just fascinating to me to be there and, you know, see stones that were placed by the mason, 2,000 years ago, and have it still be standing. We just missed it, but they had a rock concert. Actually, Kiss was on their world tour, and we missed the concert. How cool would that have been, right? To see Kiss, one of these iconic rock bands, in a Roman Coliseum. But anyways, I love seeing that stuff, going to check it all out. And like I said, I love getting out there and actually doing. Now, I'm not saying I'm a builder. I'm not saying I am good at it, a craftsman, but I do get a really good understanding. If I go out there and understand what it takes to flash a window, then I understand what I'm asking them to do. And if you're following along, you're starting to see my life stitched together, because one of the leadership traits of a good Marine is understanding the work that you're asking somebody to do, and the fact that you have probably done it before and could still do it. So I like to get out there. I use my leadership skills as a Marine, and I get out and I do the work myself with the builder. I install the first window or two, and we go through it. We talk about it. That's how I gain knowledge, because honestly, when we go through these details, I'm telling them what my intent is, but sometimes they say, hey Steve, if we did this instead of that, we could do it a little faster, it'd be easier, or we'd use less material or something. And my window details have evolved. We're probably on like the 10th or 12th generation of window details because of conversations that I've had out there. I love big trucks. I was in Motor T, for God's sakes. I came out, I actually worked for a moving company. I drove a truck for Allied Van Lines for a short stint. It was probably one of the worst jobs. I mean, if you want to feel good about what you're doing, go do moving for a little bit. Yeah, empty somebody's house by hand, carry it up a hill to a truck, and then load the truck, and then unload the truck, 5 miles away into their new house. But anyways, I've always loved big trucks. This is me out at the ConAg show, Construction Aggregate show. I didn't have no reason to be there other than I wanted to walk around and check out big trucks. I'm just fascinated with them. Yeah, Tonka Trucks. I tell people, as an architect, I'm still playing with Legos. My Lego sets are just a little more expensive than they used to be. So, but I'm still a lover of Tonka Trucks too. So. My travels get to take me to really cool places. Remember, I talked about experiences. This is us going into a limestone mine in Alabama. Yeah, it's not a quarry, it's a mine, because all of the limestone is extracted underground. And you can see the scale of, these piers in the mine and this distance here when, that's 6 feet of car. This is on the order of about 22 feet to that ceiling, and you can see how it was all carved out. But just, I love the opportunity to go out, see things getting made, seeing things getting processed, seeing limestone getting mined. It's just a really cool part of my job. And I like to think I'm a fun-loving guy. Yeah, so Tigger ran up because he saw that I was there and he wanted to take a picture with me, so I obliged. Now, this is a family trip. Christmas a couple years ago, whole family, we went down to Disney. Yeah, I have no problem being a fool with my kids, my grandchildren. I love them all. I love them dearly. My wife. I don't post many pictures of them because there's certain things in my life that I consider private. Yeah, just know that we are having a good time all the time. And two of my kids actually work with me. So my daughter Alex and my son Stevos, both architects in training and working with me. But yeah, family life, it's a circus when we're all together, to say the least. I love to fish, even though sometimes my bounty is not huge. But this was a project where I went out to Colorado. We were visiting with a client and a builder said, hey, why don't you stay out an extra day and we'll go fish one of the rivers out here. So, it's not only about the size of the fish you catch, it's the fact that I'm standing in a river in Colorado for 6 hours, just casting, loving life, with some good new friends and old friends, and occasionally we catch a fish. So, experiences for me. Did I say I love fishing? Yeah, every year we go down to Native Adventures. It's in Venice, Louisiana. It is literally, if you go down the Mississippi River and it opens into the Gulf, like Venice is right here. It is the end of the earth when it comes to the Mississippi River. And we catch reds and trout and drum. But I go down there with Jake Bruton, Jackson Andrews, Jamie Herndon and Will King and a few other guys that rotate in and out. But every year in the fall, sometime in September, October, we go down for our week-long fishing trip. We see Alan at Native Adventures. He always treats us well, and as you can see, he knows where the fish are. So I love fishing. I could stand on a boat and cast all day. Don't even have to catch anything. I just love fishing. Again, life experiences. I'm out in Colorado. A friend from the Marine Corps. He is an instructor at United Airlines Training Center. So he says, hey, do you want to come by? I know you're going to be out here next week. Do you want to come by and we'll get you a couple hours in a flight simulator? Yeah, please. So, 737 flight simulator, and I got to live the life of a pilot for 2 hours. It was so cool. He could plug in whatever airport, and you would look through the windshield and you would see Logan Airport. Or I did a bunch of takeoffs from San Francisco, so as we were rising, you could see the Golden Gate Bridge below you and such. Just a really cool experience, and a great appreciation for every time when I get on a plane what those two people are doing up in that front room to ensure our safety and get us there. But yeah, my job just always has these tangents, and I don't know when or where or what they are, but they keep coming and I keep loving them. And of course, by all the videos I shoot and what I do, I love teaching, right? I love having a room full of people. I love having the discussion. I love talking about it. I never ever take the position that I am teacher and you are student. No. We're just a whole room full of people. We're in different seats on the learning curve. Some of us have a little more information than others. We share it, but someone's going to have a comment about what I'm talking about that I never thought about before. And I feel as long as we keep maintaining that discussion, I take the responsibility, as should all of us, to be curators of information, right? We all want to be curators, or we all should be. We get the word out, our industry rises together with all of us. I love writing articles. This is Fine Home Building. This was a passive house, the series that we're about to embark on. This was one of the drawings for that series. We wrote a bunch of articles in Fine Home Building for that almost 12 years ago. You know, their illustrators are just phenomenal, just beautiful. It's literally artwork, even though there's a lot of building science behind what's happening there. But I love writing too. And of course, you know this guy, right? If you don't, that's Matt Reisinger. And you might know him more familiar with On the Build Show. Yeah, that's his kind of tagline. Everything he finishes with On the Build Show. But anyways, you can see he's always, without fail, he's in his build gear. But Matt, you know, he started the Build Show Network, to which I'm a contributor now, and just a fantastic voyage for all of us on there, but I think the building community in general. I mean, we have literally thousands of videos on there. You know, I'm harping about it every time I shoot a video. Go check it out. Build Show Network. Thousands of videos, podcasts, original series, Build Show Build Boston, the Hilltop Aero Project with Jake, Build Science 101. Go check them out. It's all free. People are always asking, hey, where do I get this knowledge? Hey, how do I learn about water management? Hey, how do I do that? Start with the Build Show Network. You could be there for a year and probably still not watch everything. So go check it out. Go check out Matt Reisinger on YouTube. Occasionally, I get the privilege of shooting videos with him. He'll be up here and we'll shoot some videos on projects. But all his videos on YouTube, just awesome. So Matt Reisinger, go check it out. Go check out the Build Show Network. So, anyways, that's kind of where we're at, folks. Hopefully that was a little piece of entertainment, but also a little enlightenment. So you get a little feeling of who I am, what I do, how I do it, what I care about, and why I do it. So anyways, I'm Steve Basic Architect. I just gave you a little synopsis of who I am and where I've been. This is the Vibe Board. We just talked about the Build Show. I'm one of the co-hosts on the Unbuild It podcast, which is under the umbrella of the Build Show. You can find it there. But if you're looking for more, I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn at Steve Basic. I'm on Facebook and TikTok at Steve Basic Architect. And of course, you found me here. Go tell all your friends. Smash that subscribe button. You know, hopefully you enjoyed the video. I just thought, you know, hey, it might be worth it if you guys knew a little bit more about the guy that's shooting all these videos and always talking building science. It is a extremely major part of my life, but there are other things. My dog's running around, my grandkids coming around, and having some fun and traveling with my wife and just getting to do all these things. So, but, you know, stay tuned because this kicks off the Passive House 11 series. And that's Passive House 11 because that's when we certified the house, 2011. It's like 18 to 20 episodes. It's going to be, I think, awesome. Always put in the comments, be respectful, but I acknowledge any critique and I look at it very closely. If you make sense, if your critique makes sense to me, then I'll alter what I'm doing or think about it. But let me know. The Vibe Board, game changer for me. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed that. This is the end of that. You know where I'm going to end this. Long live our buildings.